Alright, good afternoon. This is the State of the Farm Report for the Crops Committee for the summer of 2011. And for the video's purpose, we can introduce ourselves again.
I'm Jeremy Hockman.
I'm Jesse Deardorff.
Jack Krull. Kyle Porter.
Just to start off, we're in a unique position being the summer group because the crop is already in the ground and we're limited to an 8-week course. And right now, we're the 6th or 7th week right now. The overview of our presentation. We'll go over the recommendations set by earlier committees. We'll go over our long and short-term goals. And a lot of our goals are closely related to organizing data and getting up to speed on some of our technological equipment.
These are some of the long-term goals that were left behind from the spring 2011 committee. And one of the first ones on there was looking at our tiling options for some fields. We have some wet spots, and we looked, and one of our worst spots was the country store. It had some of the worst wet spots, but as Greg was telling us when we read in the paper, I believe it was last week, they are looking, that's the one that we get to just farm from Iowa State, and it's also part of the development park over there. And in the paper it said that they're planning on putting that into development, another big chunk, and that would be part of it. So we're kind of holding off on the whole tiling project for now on that to see what happens, because it sounds like we might be losing some of those acres anyways to begin with. And there's a couple other spots that we're looking at. We talked to Greg. There's one behind the place here in the home farm, and we haven't really had a whole lot of time to get into that, but we'll be checking further into that. But the main one, like I said, the country store, and we're just going to wait and see about the whole development that's going on over there. And then another one that was from the spring 2011 committee was accurate record keeping. And this is also from the fall committee. Like, looking back, we've had a lot of problems with this, especially with the new technology we got, like the SMS hand mobiles. And I have gotten all those up to date with the new program. So the biggest thing is going to be teaching all you guys and getting everyone on the same page on learning how to run them. And so we can get out there and keep the accurate data and make sure that it gets loaded up into the files. So when the next class comes in, all that stuff will be there. We won't have any missing data or void files. It'll be real nice and easy to read. And with the mobiles, once you start getting to know how to use them, they're actually pretty easy. And the big thing of that is just getting the training so everyone knows how to use them. And another one was long-term goals, I guess, is not so much this summer, but in the fall, is starting to look at purchasing seed, because the earlier you purchase, you get a lot better discounts. So we're hoping to save some money there.
Some of our short-term goals for the summer of 2011 is to update and maintain accurate records. The spring of 2011 group did a really good job of putting their records into the notebook, so we're just kind of updating contact information, planting dates, and planting rates, and then what's going to be applied this summer. Also, we're going to be doing some crop scouting weekly, so we can add that to the information. We have already updated the SMS handhelds, and we're going to try to become proficient using them with our field mapping and crop scouting. We're also going to be able to try to tie that in to Apex, so we can take the information from the tractor when we're combining and put it into the SMS program. And then along with our crop scouting, we're going to look at what weeds are being a problem and control them.
Some of our long-term goals for the summer is, like I said, integrate the SMS handheld system with the Apex software for the most accurate data, because that's where they've been having some problems in the past. And by being able to get that information from the combine and integrate it right into our system, we're going to have that information a lot faster. It's going to be more accurate and a lot easier to read and interpret, so we can make further assessments and plan goals off of that data that we are getting. And another thing we also looked at was, we also mentioned this in the equipment part, is possible purchase of weigh wagon to calibrate the combine for more accurate data. And this would be it's like a different axle system that actually weighs, so we actually know how many bushels we have coming out of the field at the time. And this will also help in like marketing the grain to see where we want to take it, and we'll have more accurate data, so we know where we're taking it and how much we're getting right away.
That goes on the grain card.
Or yeah, it goes on, and that will be going on the grain card. And other also is purchase seed and chemical products for the fall for the larger discounts.
So basically, where we're sitting right now with our crops, we've had pretty good emergence, and I've talked to some of the different groups that have done crop scouting, and we've had good standing counts in the areas that haven't had standing water. So basically, they should be in good shape for above average yield this fall if the weather is conducive, and we just need to focus on the goals that we can achieve in this short amount of time. Are there any questions?
I guess one question that I have is what resources or training do you need to help provide this training to the rest of the class on how to use these things and how to get everything synced up so we have a seamless system with all of our technologies here?
Well, I think just getting out and getting an opportunity to use them ourselves. I mean, I've never really used the handhelds, and we have a couple of people in the class that do have some experience. So when we go out and crop scout and map fields, you know, everybody can get a hands-on opportunity to use them. I think that would be key.
And the biggest thing is we need to be getting out here real soon and mapping all the fields in them, because that's the big part. Because then once you have your fields mapped in, like say it has the GPS system on it, and say you're in this area of the field, and you see like cutworm or whatever, you can go in there and select under insects cutworm, and it'll pinpoint the area where you found it. So I mean, just things like that. Just once we get them mapped, just getting out there and using them, and then once we get that, we can sync all the data, and it's going to be up to date and a lot easier to use. Because I don't know if the past classes didn't really try, or I don't know. I guess I don't really know what happened, how they didn't really get it figured out, or what their big problem was.
Well, and that's really where my question goes, because I think this class is different because we have two experts at least in here that know how to use these things. You're one of the experts, Jeremy. They bought them last summer. Yeah. Well, they bought them last summer. They didn't get them till the end of the session. The fall class started playing with them, and they supposedly, the guy that sold them to us was going to come out and train how to use them. He didn't show up. And finally, he came out, and it was not a good experience for our students, because the guy wasn't interested in training. He was only interested in selling. We didn't go through Ag Leader. You probably looked at the information where we bought them. And then last spring, you know, we were supposed to go through the co-op, and they were supposed to help us find training. It didn't happen.
Okay.
So now
and maybe that's something else that we can put on our goals, is maybe we can look up and find someone who knows, you know, even more than me and Dave, and could come out here and show us everything.
Right.
Because like I just playing around with them, I've used a similar type system before. Like I could kind of figure it out, but I'm sure these are like pretty high tech. I'm sure there's even options on there that I don't even know how to use, that I just haven't gotten to yet. So
Right.
that might be something. And then once we get that training, maybe, you know, type up a sheet for the further classes, so we don't run into this problem every term.
Well, I've not determined the strategic issue assignment for the committees yet. And so that may be a perfect one for your group, is to write up that training manual and to pull together as many resources as possible.
And
a resource list of
as
people.
far as resources go, a friend of mine actually works at Ag Leader here in Ames, runs all the systems, and he's actually part of the support tech staff.
He needs to be a friend of Ag 450,
And
because
I
every
can make a
semester,
phone call.
yeah, every semester they call, and it seems like they can't ever get anywhere.
Yeah, I think we need to try to develop.
And he's based right out of Ames too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I guess, yeah, like we even had, I was having a difficult time, and me and Dave helped me out getting even the software load onto the handhelds. And I guess we never really got to the point where we called, and we finally figured it out after a little while. But I mean, it would be nice to
But that's
have.
not two people like me trying to figure it out, that's two people know
No,
what
I
they're
don't-
doing.
Yeah, but like you said, it'd just be nice to have that inside guy there, you know, that knows us and come out and we could just, you know, call him up with simple questions like that, like, and get an answer right away instead of, you know, going through the.
Well, you guys have already mentioned the good relationships we have with Deere. And, you know, he was really good. He came out last spring and worked with us on the Apex stuff and showed us a lot of the features. And I could tell you, we had a meeting with Don Van Houweling about 2.5 weeks ago, and he's wanted to help us a lot on some different things. So we need to keep working with all those resources that are out there.
Yeah, and that's another thing, just keep open those lines of communication with all the people, because I mean, like Rick the other day when we went in there and talked to him, he is helpful and more than nice to us, you know.
You
So it's
bet.
just,
And TJ, he's been really well and talking about getting the SMS mobiles, talking with the Deere stuff and everything. He said it should be able to be done fairly easily, or run it backwards like Dave was talking about. So we should be able to integrate all this, make all the technology talk to each other and get it done correctly.
And I would agree, that's, boom, I knight you, that's your number one goal for the summer. To get that. You got the stamp of approval on that one. Any other questions from anybody else? All right, good job, guys. Excellent, excellent job.